celebrated writer of Russian American background, Ayn Rand, has once said, the only purpose of education is to teach a student how to live his life by developing his mind and equipping him to deal with reality. He has to be taught to think, to understand, to integrate, to prove. He has to be taught the essentials of knowledge discovered in the past, and he has to be equipped to acquire further knowledge by his own efforts. A very warm and pleasant morning to one and all. I, Jitinder Kaur, on the behalf of the entire team of Gobindgarh Public College, welcome our prudent and seasoned scholars, the Principal Dr. Neena Sethpajni, my fellow teachers, and dear students to the third part of the webinar series on National Education Policy 2020. The first webinar gave us an overview of National Education Policy 2020 in general, and the second part emphasized over the aspect of character building. Before I commence with the formal steering of the event, let me apprise you all the August Temple of Learning, Gobindgarh Public College. This organization came into being in 2003 under UGC 2F and 12B and flourished under the able guidance of Dr. Neena Sethpajni. GPC is a multi-faculty, co-educational and NAC accredited college. The campus is eco-friendly and has a solar power generation plant. On academic grounds, the college has always been creating a niche successively among the top 10 positions of university exams. Prior to the outbreak of the pandemic, the college sports team earned 1,400 points to bring Maka Trophy to Punjab University. And the college was awarded with Best NSS Unit Award in 2018-19 amongst the 192 colleges affiliated to Punjab University. Apart from the traditional courses of BA, BCom, BCom Honors, BBA, BCA, PGDCA, and MA in English and Punjabi in the college, also runs the Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University with various other courses. It is also an approved Chartered Accountant Exam Center. We also have an active social entrepreneurship Swachh Rural Engagement Cell and Mahatma Gandhi National Education for Rural Cell. And however, I won't take much time of your now. We already having our sagacious and erudite distinguished personality from academia among us, Dr. R.S. Jhanji, Principal AS College Khanna, and Dr. Krishan Kant, Aggarwal College Ballabgarh. Both of them in their own way, unique, they have set the standards of quality education. They own multifarious and charismatic personalities. But for the technical session, we are having Dr. Krishan Kant among us, and I now request our versatile principal, President of Punjab University Sports Council, Vice President of North Region of Association of Indian College Principals, Vice President of Punjab University Principals Association, General Secretary of Srimati Sudesh Pajni Charitable Trust, and Office Bearer of various NGOs, Dr. Neena Sethpajni, to formally introduce our resource person of the day. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Namaskar to all. Good morning and welcome to Gobindgarh Public College, Dr. R.S. Jhanji ji and Dr. Krishan Kant ji, and I welcome all the participants here. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, audible, ma'am.
Ma'am Jitinder?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So today's webinar on national education policy Part 3 is on reforms in Indian higher education with the special reference of National Education Policy 2020. Earlier in Part 1 and Part 2, we have already talked about the overview of National Education Policy and the role of education in character building with special reference to NEP. So ladies and gentlemen, today to talk about the journal reforms, governance reforms in higher education and school education, we have two great renowned seasoned resource person in this field, Dr. R.S. Jhanji and Dr. Krishan Kant ji. So our first speaker is Principal Dr. Krishan Kant ji. He will elaborate on topic National Education Policy 2020, paving way for transformational reforms in school and higher education. If we talk about that, why we need these reforms in Indian education system. So there is a very famous joke describe the situation of Indian education system. Like a student was sitting idly in class while others were furiously jotting down the professor's word when the class was going on. The professor asked that student why was he not taking the notes. Then the student replied that he already had it from his grandfather. So means we are following the same algorithm again and again, and we are expecting a wonderful result. So let's see what this national education policy holds to get the desired output so that India will become developed nation from developing one. So our first resource person, Dr. Krishan Kant ji, will talk about this in reforms, and it's honor for me to introduce him. He is at present principal at Aggarwal PG College, Ballabgarh, Faridabad. For last 10 years, he is serving there. And Aggarwal College is a postgraduate college with the college with potential for excellence by UGC and NAC accredited with CGPA 3.57 qualification wise. Dr. Kant is MSc, MPhil, gold medalist, PhD with specialization in geophysics, radiation physics, and environment sciences. He has completed 5 research projects and has served and is serving as member of Academic Council, Court, Sports Board of MD University, Rohtak, member of Journal Council of NAC Bangalore, member Academic Council and Executive Council YMCA University of Science and Technology Faridabad, member of Advisory Board, former patron and President Nuclear Track Society of India, member of Regional Advisory Committee, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India from 2013 to 17. He has published, oh my God, 310 research papers in international and national journals of repute, proceedings of international and national conferences and seminars, and has attended 33 international and 93 national conferences, seminar or workshop, and has been invited as speaker in 61 national and international conferences, has chaired technical session in 31 international or national conferences, chief patron of Journal of Library and Information Management, and is member of editorial board IGRR Iran. Has authored and edited 9 books and edited the proceeding of 5 conferences and has 2 patents to his credit with more than 30 plus years of vast experiences, has widely traveled abroad to various academic pursuits to Iran, Austria, Taiwan, Mexico, Japan, USA, list is long. So over to you, Dr. Kant, to speak on topic, to elaborate on National Education Policy 2020, paving way for transformational reforms in school and higher education. We are honored to have you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam, for such a nice introduction. Am I audible? Madam Principal, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are very much audible. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I will take few words from whatever you have said in your introduction. It is a hard fact that students of today are being taught by teachers of yesterday, and that too with curriculum even day before yesterday. But we have to change our thought process. I will just narrate a small story. एक स्कूल था जिसमें एक लेडी ने अपनी एजुकेशन ली थी और वो पास आउट हो गई वहाँ से. उसके बाद उसकी शादी हो गई, उसकी एक बेटी हुई. उस बेटी को भी उसने उसी स्कूल में एडमिट करा दिया और वो पढ़ने लगी. तो उस बेटी का एक क्लास टेस्ट हुआ, तो उसमें कुछ क्वेश्चंस दिए टीचर ने, और वो जब घर आई तो उसकी माँ ने देखा कि भाई वो वही क्वेश्चंस थे जो उस क्लास में उसकी माँ को दिए थे उस टीचर ने. तो उसकी माँ उस बेटी को लेकर के स्कूल में गई. Here is the smartness of the principal, which I will say now. तो प्रिंसिपल से उसने कहा कि सर जब मैं पढ़ती थी आज से 25-26 साल पहले तब भी यही क्वेश्चंस थे और अब मेरी बेटी पढ़ती है इस क्लास में तो अब भी यही क्वेश्चंस हैं. तो प्रिंसिपल ने कहा कि मैडम क्वेश्चन तो वही है पर इनके जवाब बदल गए हैं with the changing time. So we have to change and the perception of the people should change with time. सेकेंडली मैडम मॉडरेटर ने एक बहुत अच्छी कोटेशन की दी और वो रशियन किसी की बोरो की वो. वी हैव वेरी गुड कोटेशंस इवन इन आवर ओन कंट्री. स्वामी विवेकानंद राइटली सेड व्हाट इज एजुकेशन. एजुकेशन इज दैट बाय विच कैरेक्टर इज फॉर्म्ड, स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ माइंड इज इंक्रीज्ड, इंटेलेक्ट इज एक्सपेंडेड and it enables one to stand on its own feet. And I think all these four what Vivekananda said are the basic requirements in NEP 2020. So now I start with my presentation. Yeah. As madam told that I will be talking about NEP 2020, paving way for transformational reforms in school and higher education. I will slightly touch about schools and I will mainly deliberate on higher education. We have to include schools also because this is an integrated setup, and if we do not talk about the overall scenario, starting from our school education, which we call as primary education, to our secondary education, and then post-secondary, which we call as higher education, the whole purpose is defeated. That's why I have included few slides about schools, and mainly I will be focusing on higher education. Madam, is my PPT visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, very much visible.
Friends, this is the higher education sector in India, and our India has the third largest system of higher education in the world. There is a mushroom growth, huge number of universities, colleges in our country. And if we take a comparison 1950 and 2020, you can very well see in this slide, and there has been a considerable growth. Enrollment in higher education, if we talk about total enrollment in distance education 10.62%, enrollment in undergraduate programs, enrollment in PG programs and in science. And if we talk about the gross enrollment ratio, at present it is 26.3%, with the youth between the age of 18 to 23 years. And the target as per NEP 2020 is 32% by 2022 and higher in years to come. If we talk about the quality of higher education institution in our country, there was this report was there on 7th of March 2021 in Hindustan Times, that if we compare our institutes among the institutes of our own country, then as per QS ranking, IIT Mumbai in Institute of National Importance is first. In deemed university category, it is IISc Bangalore, and its state private university, it's MIT University, Central University is University of Delhi, and state university is University of Calcutta. But if we want to expand this and we want to compare our institutes at world ranking, then this year QS World University ranking, you will be surprised that in first 170 or 171, no institution of our country appears in that list. The first is the 172nd rank of Indian Institute of Technology Mumbai, then 185th Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, and then 193 is the Indian Institute of Technology Delhi. Now the question is, why our international ranking is very poor? And it raises question over the access and quality of education being imparted to the students in our higher education institutions. And if we ponder over this thing, that why we the quality of our institution, when we compare it at the world level or global level, then we do not stand anywhere as such. So I think there are certain flaws with our education system, and I usually display this slide in my presentations because in our country, this education system, we consider it as a factory model of education, and the student is considered as a raw material. And as in a factory, the raw material is subjected to a standard process, and after going through the process, the product comes and it is sold in the market. It is acceptable in the market. Likewise, we treat our human resource also as a raw material. Without identifying their level of learning, whether there are the slow learners, advanced learners, or mediocres, all the students are subjected to the same process of education. And after that, what happens when they come out of the institution, and if they go for employment or go for starting some business, there is the same process of selection for all. And this is a very famous quotation by Albert Einstein, that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So the basic purpose of showing this slide is that we have to identify the potential of the student. We have to identify what a student can do, and probably this NEP 2020, because in the pattern which I will be discussing 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 at the very beginning stage, because people usually say that up to the age of 7 to 8 years, almost 50 to 60% of the mind of a student is developed. So what are the hidden talents of a student? They can be identified at the basic level, and then efforts can be made to develop those skills or develop those hidden talents of the student when he goes to the middle education or secondary education or post-secondary education. This is the concept in our country at present. If some teacher says that I will teach you concept of physics, I am a student of physics, that's why I took this slide. No student like to go to him. But if a teacher ensures that I will teach you how to get 90% in physics, there will be a great crowd. Why it is so? They are not at fault. Here in our educational institutions, the basic thing is that the whole system is IQ focused, intelligent quotient focused, and package centric approach, ignoring skills, whether it is the communication skills, whether it is the soft skills, whether it is the life skills, and other quotients, maybe the spiritual quotient, moral quotient, emotional quotient, physical quotient. So this is a basic flaw with our education system, and resulting into that there are three main institutions, which is the university or a college, then the teachers and the student. And you can see in this slide that the teachers and the university, they are relaxed, and the entire stress or entire pressure is on the students. So this is a very critical situation in our country, and I think all this situation has led to the recommendation of NEP 2020, which has already been approved by the government. So friends, all is not well with higher education. If you see this figure, when a small boy enters a school, he is laughing, and you can say the mouth, it is in concave shape. And as he progresses, what we claim that he is progressing, he is going from school to the college to the university, but you see his situation, the concave changes to convex. He is under a lot of stress, he is under a lot of pressure. He thinks that the degree which has been given to me is just like a passport. It is not giving him the visa. Means he is not able to get the jobs. So the fault lies with our education system. And this all has led to the need of NEP 2020. So requirement, what are the requirements then? If this is the flaw, what are the requirements? Knowledge driven economy is there, and skill has become a currency these days. And education system has to be tailor made to suit the requirements of the society at large and economy in particular. There should be holistic approach towards inquiry based learning, discovery based learning, discussion based learning, and analysis based learning. If you look at the present system, all these four parameters, inquiry, discovery, discussion, and analysis, they are missing in our education system. Holistic perspective and liberal education. Holistic approaches to child development and learning recognize the connectedness of mind, body, and spirit. When early learning and child care workers take a holistic approach, they pay attention to children's physical, personal, social, emotional, creative, and spiritual well-being, as well as cognitive aspects of learning. All-round development means that we focus and emphasize more on the soft and life skills than the academic development of the child. As I was talking about, that we only focus on IQ and not on the skills. So this is the holistic perspective and liberal education. And this requires reorientation of education that strives towards a vibrant, prosperous, enlightened system, generating knowledge and new ideas so as to make it locally need-based, socially relevant, nationally important and globally significant. NEP 2020. With the advent of NEP 2020 approved by Cabinet on 29th of July 2020, new era of education with strong foundation on Indian core values. इसीलिए इसको राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति कहते हैं, because it is based on Indian core values and global standards is dawning in India. It has seeds of a total paradigm shift of education in this country. This is what is claimed in NEP 2020. National Education Policy, built on the foundational pillars of access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. This policy is aligned to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. I will explain what is the Sustainable Development Goal, and aims to transform India into a vibrant knowledge society and global knowledge superpower by making both school and college education more holistic, flexible, multidisciplinary, suited to 21st century needs, and aimed at bringing out the unique capabilities of each student. Because I personally believe, and one should believe, that every child is a bright child and he or she has some unique capabilities, and it is the duty of the institutions to bring out those hidden things out from the child. It would enable the learners to have the skills in tune with the age specific requirements. This slide I have knowingly I have put that people usually don't understand the difference between equity and equality. See the right hand side bottom one, here one picture is showing the equality and other picture is showing the equity. Equity where you have the same field of view available for everybody. So we should focus not on equality, we should focus more on equity, which is the soul and of this NEP 2020. I was talking about sustainable development. So when we talk about the education, then this comes under Sustainable Development Goal SDG 4, which is the education goal, and it aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. SDG 4 is made up of 10 targets. You can see here: free primary and secondary education, equal access to quality pre-primary education, equal access to affordable technical, vocational and higher education, increase the number of people with relevant skills for financial success, eliminate all discrimination, universal literacy and numeracy, education for sustainable development and global citizenship, build and upgrade inclusive and safe schools, expand higher education scholarships for developing countries, increase the supply of qualified teachers in developing country, which is most important, supply of qualified teachers. So these are the 4 targets for SDG 4, which is Sustainable Development Goal for education. And to achieve this, how can synergies be created between local policies at institutions with that of state and central government initiatives to strengthen Sustainable Development Goal in the context of NEP 2020? Transformation. Yeah, everybody talks about the Bloom's taxonomy. These are the 6 learning levels of students, and I firmly believe that even the brightest student in our institution, he goes up to the level of maximum 4. Evaluation and creation is missing somewhere, means there is some flaw with the education system. So now, as per NEP 2020 and as per our own requirements, we have to switch over from Bloom's taxonomy to Guru taxonomy. And what is this Guru taxonomy? If we consider ourselves as only a teacher, then we only give information, knowledge and skill to the students. But slightly higher, if we consider ourselves as Pandits, then information, knowledge, skill and insights also. And Drishta, he gives vision also apart from all these 4. And if you are really Guru, then apart from these 5, which is information, knowledge, skill, insights and vision, you also give awakening to the student. Because you know, Swami Vivekananda also said that Utthisth Jagrit Praptve Varenya Bodhite. उठो जागो और लक्ष्य प्राप्ति तक रुको मत. तो जो जागने वाली बात इसमें कहते हैं, arise, awaken and stop not till the goal is achieved. So awakening is very important, and this awakening can only be given by a real guru who is there in the class with the students. How children will learn? Slightly I will be talking about school level and then I will switch over to college level. Role of school education: strengthening the roots. Schooling plays a decisive role in sustaining the higher education and lays the foundation stone for lifelong learning. The complete trajectory of education is achieved from perceptual to conceptual to prospective to extraction. Studies have shown that Through playful learning experiences, students can acquire broad, dynamic, and interconnected skills rapidly and effectively. This is the transformation. Presently, we had 10 plus 2, 12 years, starts at the age of 6 years, entry level is at first class, spoon feeding, cramming is there, and only marks fetching and cutthroat competition. I am not talking about private schools in this, because they start at a smaller level, maybe at the age of 3, they call it KG, UKG, upper KG, whatever they call it. But now the government also thought about it, and in NEP they made a provision that from 10 plus to 12 years to they switched over to 15 years, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, which starts at the age of 3 years, early child care education, 3 years of pre-primary and 2 years of primary, raising the learning levels. And this is the comparison in the form of block diagrams. On the left, it is the 12-year system, and on the right, it is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4-year system. And this is what is expected in NEP 2020, learning by doing. These are old games which we used to play in our times, but with the advancement in technology and all, students or the child forgot about all these games, and they came either to this or they came either to these electronic gadgets. And the main drawback with these electronic gadgets is that modern games in which a child sits in a room bounded by 4 walls and gazing at the digital screen, isolating from the rest of the world, resulting into serious health hazards. And it is a proved fact, and there are reports in journals also that the students, the small children, because of these continuously gazing at these electronic gadgets, they are suffering from severe health hazards. So the purpose of NEP 2020 is that the children should play in an open environment, where they are allowed to do whatever they like in their own way, natural way. And foundation, 5 years beginning, no exam, 3 years play, which is pre-primary, 2 years class 1 and class 2, in which slight knowledge of numbers, foundation, literacy and numeracy. And then preparatory 3 years, in this exam starts, class 3rd to 5th, introduction to reading and writing, activity plus study. It includes application oriented teaching, think, understand and assimilate. Assimilation is very, very important. I always say that education is not simply collecting knowledge and transferring it to the student. It is collection of knowledge, then assimilation, and then transfer. And teacher has to assimilate by his own experience in the information which he or she gets from the e-resources or which he gets from the books, and then he has to add his own flavor in the form of his knowledge and experience, and then the topic becomes very, very interesting. And language for this is mother tongue, home language or regional language. And this is how it will be done: foundational skills, national mission, book promotion, early learning, 3-month play-based school. 3-month play-based school will be preparation module for all grade first students, then national repository and libraries. Early childhood care learning in the formative years. These are all again, the children will develop all these qualities like etiquettes, behavior and emotional development, self-identity, ethics and whatnot in their early years. And ECC framework, these are various organizations which have been set up, national curricular and pedagogical framework for early childhood care education, and research and best practices, then multifaceted framework and school preparation modules. Then +3, middle stage, 3 years, Indian language, class 6 to 8, computer code, vocational and technical. NEP 2020 is focusing much on vocational education, so that to make the students employable, or they can start with their own startups. Then knowledge of math, science and arts. And then secondary stage, 4 years, no stream. जैसे हम बात करते हैं BA है, BSc है, BK, science, arts and commerce, no stream. As science, arts and commerce, foreign language is optional in this. Class 9 to 12, semester system will be there. Total 40 credits in 4 years. And you can see here that because there is a lot of focus on vocational education, so out of 40 credits, minimum 15 credits for vocational education. And this is obviously multidisciplinary, multiple subjects, and it will generate critical thinking among the students, which is very, very essential. Graduation, presently it is 3 years, now it will be 4 years. Indian language will be additional. No streams like BA, BSc, BCom. There will be multiple entry and exit. There will be credit bank. After 1 year, certificate will be awarded. 2 year diploma will be awarded. 3 year pass degree or job or completion, he can come back also, and 4 years is the honors. The beauty of this scheme, multiple exit and entry scheme, is this, that the student can leave even after 1 year, but the labor or the hard work of student will not go waste. Whatever he credits he acquires in first year, that will be added to his bank in the credit bank, and he will also get a certificate. After 2 years, he will get a diploma. And if he goes away, joins a job, comes back after maybe 5 years, 6 years, or 10 years, he can join in the third year. But which is not there in the present education system, but NEP 2020, this is a very beautiful thing which has been incorporated. And if we talk about post-graduation, if UG is for 4 years, then PG 1 year. And if UG is for 3 years, then PG will be of 2 years. No stream, multidisciplinary, multiple subjects, and critical thinking. MPhil has been abolished, and PhD will be of 4 years. What are the positive aspects of this? 6% of GDP will be spent on education, capping on school fees, and vocational education. There is a lot of focus on this. Results, this is very, very important. How the result will be declared? At present, it is only the marks which decides the results. But here, apart from marks, it will be assessment by self, assessment by friends, and assessment by teachers. Because friends will also be assessing, and there is certain weightage. So the students will learn how to work in a team, how to coordinate with the friends and class fellows, and they will also respect their teachers, because teachers will also be giving the assessment. And the most important is assessment by self. Very important. So one has to be very cautious about it. And then deep awareness, no cutthroat competition, competition to cooperation, a feeling will be generated, and competition within oneself. And it will inculcate the teachers' respect among the students. Foreign universities, 100 top-notch universities, mental, material, and resource sharing will be there. Maybe as I was talking about in my initial slides, that up to 177 rank, no university from India. But when the foreign university will come here and they will open their centers, and there will be sharing of mental, material, and resource, then definitely खरबूजे को देख करके खरबूजा रंग बदलता है. तो आपके पड़ोस में यदि कोई बहुत अच्छे रैंकिंग की विश्वविद्यालय या यूनिवर्सिटी या कॉलेज है, तो डेफिनेटली आपको भी उससे इंस्पिरेशन मिलेगी, एंड यू विल ऑल्सो ट्राई टू डू बेटर. Then it will lead to language prosperity, ancient knowledge and ancient knowledge system, National Research Foundation, research intensive, teaching intensive, autonomous, degree granting institution, integrated teacher education program. It will be 4 years. And this slide, why the vocational education is important. If we see the world scenario, in South Korea, 96% of the students are enrolled in vocational education. In Germany, it is 75%. In USA, it is 52%. But if we talk of India, it is less than 5%. So there is a strong need to enroll our students in vocational education. And that's why this vocational education has been made a mandatory component in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th standard, where 15 credits are to be earned by a student in vocational education. Higher education, slightly I talked in my previous slides, but these are some of the transformations. Quality universities and colleges, a new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education system. Institutional restructuring and consolidation, multidisciplinary universities, colleges and higher educational institutions clusters, knowledge hubs, each of which will aim to have 3,000 or more students. Phase out affiliation of colleges in 15 years. There will be no affiliated colleges. Standalone institutions or autonomous institutions will be there. Towards a more holistic and multidisciplinary education. No stream change, including extracurricular activities and vocational studies. Common entrance exams for all universities, and discontinuation of MPhil, as I discussed in my earlier slide. These are some of the reforms. 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035, holistic and multidisciplinary education, flexibility of subjects, 4-year undergraduate program, FYUP with multiple entry and exit. This I discussed. UG program 3 or 4 years, PG 1 or 2 years, credit transfer and academic bank of credits, research intensive or teaching intensive universities and autonomous degree granting colleges, model multidisciplinary education and research universities, which will be called as MERUs. Graded autonomy will be there. Graded autonomy will also depend upon the grades which you acquire during assessment and accreditation, or ranking which you acquire during NIRF and all other accreditation bodies and agencies. So this is very, very important, that every higher education institution will have to sustain and enhance quality. Whether it is regards the infrastructure, learning or physical infrastructure, whether it is regarding the teaching, learning, evaluation, or curricular aspects, or research, innovation, extension, student support, everywhere you have to prove your excellence. Only then you can have good grades, and accordingly you can have a good autonomous status. Phasing out affiliation, national mission on mentoring. Mentoring is very, very important. What is happening in our institutions at present, that a teacher is only a teacher. He thinks that his job is only to go to the class, teach the student, come back, nothing else. But friends, we are not only teachers. If we have to groom our students, then we have to look after their problems also. And then not a teacher, but a mentor can do it, who is a friend, philosopher, and guide of the students. So this is very, very important. Independent board of governors, single regulator for higher education, very, very important. I will discuss in details in next slides. Online self-disclosure based transparent system for approvals, common norms for public and private higher educational institutions, and there will be PPP model institutions also, and public investment 6% of GDP. NRF, internationalization of education, integration of vocational, teacher and professional education, setting up of new quality higher educational institutions, standalone institutions, special education zone for disadvantaged regions, National Institute for Pali, Persian and Prakrit, our old languages, National Education Technology Form, MHRD to be renamed. It was a proposal, the first step which was done for the implementation of this NEP 2020 was that the name of Ministry of Human Resource Development was changed to Ministry of Education immediately. And this shows the intentions of the government, that how fast they are going to do it. Assessment of students, transforming assessment for student development. At present what we have only summative assessment. We don't assess the students in between, usually. Finally, at the end semester examination, they appear in the exams, they get certain marks, on the basis of that they are assessed. But in the present NEP 2020 system, there will be formative assessment. I hope everybody understand it, what is the diagnostic assessment, what is the formative assessment, and what is the summative assessment. मैं इसको ऐसे समझा सकता हूँ आपको कि जैसे कोई कुक है एंड ही हैज टू प्रिपेयर सम डिश, मान लो खिचड़ी उसको बनानी है, तो सबसे पहले वो जो उसके इंग्रेडिएंट्स हैं उनको चेक करता है कि भाई वो क्वालिटी उनकी ठीक है, उनमें कोई अडल्ट्रेशन तो नहीं है. तो दैट इज यू कॉल एज अ डायग्नोस्टिक असेसमेंट. एंड देन ही कुक्स इट, and during the cooking process he keeps on looking at it, and that it is going in the right direction, cooking in the right direction. That is the formative assessment. And it is 100% that before serving it to the guest he tastes it कि भाई ये कैसा बना है, and that is the summative assessments. So if there is a proper coordination between diagnostic assessment, formative assessment and summative assessment, then the all-round development of student is bound to occur. Board exams will be continued. Support for gifted students, students with special talent, special fund and zones, and gender also it will be there. Foreign collaboration, top 100 foreign universities will be allowed to set up campuses. Universities will be given special dispensation regarding regulatory governance and content norms. There are over 45,000 affiliated colleges in our country. Under graded autonomy, academic, administrative and financial autonomy will be given to colleges on the basis of status of their accreditation. Madam, here I would like to highlight that you are talking about governance reforms. So these are the major reforms which are about to come with the implementation of NEP, that there will be graded autonomy and there will be academic, administrative and financial reforms, and I can include examination also in this when we come to HEIs and universities and colleges. Paving the way, path finding excellence through good governance, because ultimately we have to govern. Friends, government has given a policy. I personally believe this policy is only indicative. Policy आपको कुछ indicate करती है, and it gives you certain targets which can be called as the ultimate outcomes of that policy. But will the NEP 2020 prescribed by the central government or Ministry of Education is enough? I think no. When it will come to the higher education institutions level, then they have to come out with their own policies for the implementation, and that is very, very important. So these are some of the things which we look into: quality universities and colleges, institutional restructuring and consolidation, more holistic and multidisciplinary education, optimal learning environment and support for students. This we have to create among our institutions: motivated, energized and capable faculty, equity and inclusion, teacher education and training. Training is very, very important. और मैं पर्सनली ट्रेनिंग से भी ज़्यादा ओरिएंटेशन को इंपॉर्टेंट मानता हूँ. Unless you orient the mind of a teacher that he has to unlearn and relearn, he has to reskill himself or herself. You have to orient the mind of the teacher, and once the mind of the teacher is oriented, then he is ready to accept the training. Otherwise you cannot thrust upon. So teacher education, orientation and training is a must. Reimagining vocational education, catalyzing quality academic research in all fields through a new national research foundation, transforming the regulatory system, effective governance and leadership for higher education institutions. इसके बारे में मैं डिटेल में अभी बात करता हूँ. Governance and leadership and curbing commercialization of education. How far we will be able to curb this commercialization of education, the time will tell, but definitely it is also there in NEP 2020. Other key areas of focus: professional education, agricultural education with allied disciplines, legal, healthcare, technical, adult education and lifelong learning, promotion of Indian languages, art and culture. UNESCO has declared 197 Indian languages as endangered. Technology use and integration, online and digital education, ensuring equitable use of technology. Making it happen, कैसे होगा ये? Strengthening the Central Advisory Board of Education, financing affordable and quality education, single regulator for all higher education institutions, Higher Education Commission of India to control all except medical and legal. Medical and legal has been removed from the control of this Higher Education Commission of India, and there will be 4 other regulatory councils, in which National Higher Education Regulatory Council for regulation, General Education Council for standard setting, Higher Education Grants Council for funding, and National Accreditation Council for accreditation. As you know, in the present education system, if we talk about the traditional education, the UGC, and if we talk about the technical education, it is the AICTE. But these institutions are doing all the jobs, whether it is the regulation or the standard setting or the funding or the accreditation. Maybe for accreditation NBA is there and NAC is there, but now in the NEP 2020 there will be 1 regulator and there will be 4 verticals under that, separate verticals, and I think the result is bound to occur under the strict monitoring and impact analysis done by these various agencies. Expected outcomes, very brief, I have summarized over here: holistically developed, forward looking and innovative global students, or you can say manpower, who have knowledge, creativity, critical thinking, aptitude of science and technology, research and feeling of sympathy, empathy, nationalism, patriotism and secularism. I think इतनी qualities यदि हम अपने student में provide कर देते हैं, when he graduates from our institution, he is a perfect human being. Nation first character must stay in India, study in India. Brain drain को रोकना है. Intent, talent, patent, relevant होना चाहिए. Locus, focus, local, global and global. Local citizens हमें तैयार करने हैं जो ग्लोबली सोचें और लोकली एक्ट करें. फ्रेंड्स, एक्सपेक्टेड आउटकम्स क्या हैं, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन क्या हुआ है, दिस आई हैव डिस्कस्ड इन डिटेल्स. सो नाउ इट इज जर्नी वर्सेस डेस्टिनेशन. एनईपी इज क्लियर अबाउट इट्स डेस्टिनेशन कि क्या होना चाहिए, बट साइलेंट अबाउट इट्स जर्नी. यू सी दिस फिगर दैट ड्रैगन इज आस्किंग द पांडा which is more important. Ask big panda the journey or the destination. The company said tiny dragon. What I mean to say that whatever policies are framed at the state level or at the institution level, are they being really enjoyed by the various stakeholders which are involved in implementing all those policies to bring out the results of NEP 2020? That is more important. देखिए बहुत सारा कुछ चल रहा है. दिस इज ए न्यूज आइटम फ्रॉम 14 मार्च 2021. कुलपतियों की राय में मंथन से तय होगा राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति का स्वरूप. Though the government has already declared NEP 2020, a lot of work is going on pan India, but still the workshops, the seminars, the conferences, the discussions, they are going on in the entire country, and the people are trying to bring out something so that that can be told to the policy makers again and to the institutions, so that NEP 2020, whatever are the expected outcomes and all, they can be done in the time to come. This is a figure which I like the most. This is a mountain hill, and at the top is the destination or the goal. Now, if you have to reach the destination or the goal, as far as NEP 2020 is concerned, destination is same because expected outcomes are there. But what I believe that paths or ways may be different. To reach the top of the hill, the mountaineers can have different paths, as I've seen by this yellow marks, but ultimately they will reach at the top. They will reach the destination. And to do this, 3P's policy has to be there, which is the P is the policy, process, and procedures. And a process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities which transforms inputs into outputs. A process is about what we do, and a procedure is specified way to carry out an activity or a process, and procedure is about how we do something. तो आपकी policy, I am not talking of NEP 2020. NEP 2020 has given you a target. Now you have to make your own policy at your own level under the guidance of your mentors or your state, and then you have to evolve certain process and procedures. Only then, whenever there is a proper coordination between policy, process, and procedure, only then we can reach our destination. And it is better to talk about unity rather than the uniformity. This line is very, very important. India is a land of diversities. So many diversities, whether it is a geographical, whether it is a economical, whether it is a some backward areas, some forward areas. So keeping in view of that, we should talk of unity. But when we talk of uniformity, then there are voices from different parts or different regions of the country. So it's better to talk about unity than the uniformity. Implementation. Wake up, know, tell others, contribute, and make the policy successful. जागना है, जानना है, दूसरों को बताना है, अपना योगदान देना है और इस पॉलिसी को सक्सेसफुल बनाना है. And this is the right time to develop a roadmap to decide the journey to the destination. As I was saying, journey is not clear. And for this multi-level implementation of this policy in ladder and split requires independent committees of academic leaders and administrators at school level, college level, university level, state level, and central government level. And also committees on higher education, committees on school education, committee for role of higher education institution in self-reliant India, and committee for role of schools in self-reliant India. This we have to do. And for doing this, defining the journey and realizing the expected outcome, there has to be a right kind of governance, leadership, and management. This is very important for a governor, for a manager, for a leader. He has to balance. Has a balance is the key in life. एक तरफ दिमाग है, एक तरफ दिल है. तो जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होता है इंस्टीट्यूशन में, उसको कई बार दिमाग से डिसीजन लेने होते हैं और कई बार दिल से डिसीजन लेने होते हैं. तो he has to make a proper coordination between the two to get success. Governance, the action or manner of governing an organization or institution, and it inquires committees, policies, staff, mission, responsibility, decision making, ethics, boards, rules, and whatnot. Governance, leadership, and management, it requires institutional vision and leadership, strategy development and deployment, faculty empowerment strategies, financial management and resource mobilization, and internal quality assurance system. These 5 parameters are of utmost importance for right kind of governance, leadership, and management to ensure quality. Clearly stated vision and mission which should reflect in the academic and administrative governance. Very, very important. We should know the head of the institution and should know what is the vision of our institution. And before stating the vision, he has to take all the stakeholders into confidence. I personally believe that there has to be collective and collegial decision in stating the vision and mission of an institution. Vision is a futuristic statement that the institution or department would like to achieve over a long period of time. Over a long period of time. It may take years to achieve the vision, and mission statements are essentially the means to achieve the vision. For example, vision, create high quality holistically developed professionals. Mission क्या होना चाहिए? Offer a well balanced program and instruction, practical experience and opportunities for overall personality development. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक इंस्टीट्यूट कह दे, अपना विजन में कह दे कि भाई इट इज ए टॉप क्लास रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट, और आप कोई सेमिनार कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप टीचर्स को कोई इंसेंटिव या फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप कोई फाइनेंशियल, आपका कोई बजट एलोकेशन नहीं है, तो आपका मिशन विजन क्या है? टू मेक योर इंस्टीट्यूशन ए रिसर्च स्पेसिफिक इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ एक्सेलेंस. बट मिशन क्या होना चाहिए? देन यू शुड हैव ए वेल बैलेंस्ड प्रोग्राम्स, you should have funds for developing labs, you should allow your teachers for participating or organizing conferences, and you should have some incentives also for the teachers to motivate them. What do we want to become? A vision statement should answer the basic question. NEP से हमें लेना पड़ेगा. हर इंस्टीट्यूशन को मैं मानता हूं कि अब अपना विजन स्टेटमेंट चेंज करना पड़ेगा as per NEP 2020. What do you want to become? The vision statement should be short, preferably one sentence, and as many stakeholders as possible should have input into developing the statement. This is very important. I was telling you, collective and collegial decision. Principal vision statement लिख देता है, उसको प्रिंट करा करके कॉलेज में लगवा देता है. टीचर्स को पता नहीं है क्या बनाया है, सोसाइटी को पता नहीं है, स्टूडेंट्स को पता नहीं है, एलुमनाई को पता नहीं है, तो फिर कैसे भैया उसको आप रियलाइज करोगे? यू कैन नॉट रियलाइज इट. तो यू हैव टू बी very democratic in that sense that you have to discuss each and every aspect with various stakeholders. Disclose what an organization wants to be and whom it wants to serve. Also called a statement of purpose. Mission statement is also called a statement of purpose, a statement of philosophy, a statement of beliefs, and a statement of educational principles. And this is how to make the vision and mission. सबको आपको कॉन्फिडेंस में लेना है, स्टूडेंट्स को भी, एलुमनाई को भी, फैकल्टी को भी, एम्प्लॉयर्स को भी, एंड टाइमली एंड पीरियडिकली उसको आपको रिव्यू भी करना है. समटाइम्स आपके विजन मिशन स्टेटमेंट रिडंडेंट हो जाते हैं विद द चेंजिंग टाइम, तो यू हैव टू कंटिन्यूअसली रिव्यू इट. एकेडमिक्स में क्या कर सकते हैं एज ए हेड ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूशंस? कंटिन्यूअस अपडेटिंग ऑफ करिकुलम टू मीट द लेटेस्ट नीड्स ऑफ द इंडस्ट्रीज. I have knowingly written here education 4.0 matching with industry 4.0. Everybody is talking about industry 4.0, but you should talk about education 4.0 also. And what is this? Education 1.0 was lectures and memorization. हम अपने जमाने को याद करें तो education 2.0 टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांस हुई, इंटरनेट एनेबल्ड लर्निंग आ गया. 3.0 open resources are available everywhere, they are available, but I always say they must be used with utmost care. आप कभी प्लेजरिज्म में या वायलेशन ऑफ लॉज में या रूल्स में ना फंस जाएं. इसलिए जब भी आपको ओपन एजुकेशनल रिसोर्सेज यूज करने हैं या आपने किसी के कंट्रीब्यूशंस यूज करने हैं तो ड्यूली एक्नॉलेज करना चाहिए. एजुकेशन 4.0 which is required multidisciplinary holistic education producing knowledge, research and innovation. So as head of the institutions, as academic leaders, we have to ensure all these facilities in our institution. Providing demand-driven educational programs for enhancing skills and employability. एक टीचर को ये होना चाहिए कि यदि एक स्टूडेंट कहता है आई कैन नॉट लर्न द वे यू आर टीचिंग, तो वो ये भी कहेगा साथ में कैन यू लर्न द वे आई कैन यू टीच द वे आई कैन लर्न. और यदि स्टूडेंट ये कह रहा है तो टीचर को अपनी टीचिंग मेथडोलॉजी चेंज करनी ही पड़ेगी, उसको उस तरह से पढ़ाना ही पड़ेगा. और अभी तक क्या हो रहा है, जो हम चाहते हैं वही पढ़ा रहे हैं बच्चों को. नो नो नो, हमें जो बच्चे चाहते हैं, जो समय चाहता है, जो मार्केट चाहती है, जो इंडस्ट्री चाहती है, हमें वो पढ़ाना पड़ेगा. एंड आई टेल यू फ्रेंड्स दैट स्टूडेंट्स आर मच मोर अवेयर देन अस व्हाट इज द डिमांड ऑफ द मार्केट. इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ न्यू पीजी टीचिंग प्रोग्राम्स, CBCS को होलिस्टिकली इंट्रोडक्शन करना है. फैसिलिटेटिंग लर्निंग थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी, वैल्यूज एंड प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स, हर जगह बात हो रही है पूरे देश में इसकी. तो इस तरह के कुछ प्रोग्राम्स अपने कॉलेज में, इंस्टीट्यूशन में होने चाहिए. एकेडमिक सेकंड डायमेंशन में क्या आता है? प्रोड्यूस जॉब क्रिएटर्स रादर देन सीकर्स बाय इंट्रोड्यूसिंग सम एड ऑन कोर्सेज टू हार्नेस देयर एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप स्किल्स, नर्चरिंग ए कल्चर ऑफ प्राइड, ओनरशिप एंड बिलोंगिंगनेस फॉर अट्रैक्टिंग द रिटेनिंग ह्यूमन रिसोर्स. gender sensitive policies, opportunities for flexible courses. Who will do it? NEP 2020 will not do it. NEP 2020 ने आपको कह दिया ये expected outcomes हैं, ये qualities बच्चों में आनी चाहिए. We have to do it. We as academic leaders, we as institutions, we have to do it. And for this, we have to work out for academic first dimension, academic second dimension, and then academic third dimension. Weekly motivational and technical presentations, each one teach one program for adult education and computer literacy, straight from horse mouth, technical presentations by alumni through Skype and Google Hangouts, view from giant solder, lectures by experts, technical workshops, mock telephonic interviews and direct interviews, periodic technical tests, video lectures from NPTEL, MIT and all other resources. Research and development, this we have also to focus, and we have to apply for various projects to various funding agencies. This is very important. When we make out, अभी आप autonomous हो जाएंगे, degree granting हो जाएंगे, तो nobody is there to frame your course contents. You have to frame your course content. तो framing the PEOs, program education outputs, program specific outputs, program outputs and course outcomes. मैंने देखा है कि प्रिंसिपल 4 लोगों के साथ बैठते हैं और ये सब डिफाइन करके डिस्प्ले कर देते हैं. नो नो नो, वी शुड नो क्लियरली किसको क्या डिफाइन करना है. तो विजन एंड मिशन, program educational outcomes and program outcomes, they are to be defined at institutional level. Program specific outcomes, they are to be defined at departmental level. And course outcomes, because course is taught by a teacher knows better about it, the course outcomes are to be defined by at the faculty level. This has to be very, very clear, and there should be clear division that who is going to define what. Program outcomes, statements that describe what the students are expected to know and what they would be able to do after graduation. And it relates to the initial capabilities, skills, knowledge, competence and behavior that students acquire through these programs. और जब वो उन behaviors को, skills को, knowledge को, competence को acquire कर लेते हैं, तो वही जो qualities हैं students की, they are known as graduate attributes. And since the students are your real ambassadors, so what graduate attributes you impart to the students who are graduating from your institutions, that will reflect the quality, that will reflect the culture, that will reflect the civilization which is present in your institutes. And for that, it is very essential for any institute to describe its charter of graduates. Charter of graduates आपको define करना चाहिए और उसको institution में different places पे display करना चाहिए. इससे क्या होता है कि students they get sensitized. Effectively deployed institutional strategic plan. An institution as academic leaders, because we have to govern the institution, you should have perspective plan and you should have strategic plan. First, institution has to have a perspective plan. और उस perspective plan में जो आपके goals हैं, उनको achieve करने के लिए जो strategies आप adopt करते हैं, they are known as strategic plan. And these are 8 elements of good governance. You can see here, civic participation, transparent, which is access to information होना ही चाहिए through website, accountable, follow rule of law, responsive, facilitating innovations, equitable and inclusive, collaborative and engagement, consensus oriented, agreement on elements of success, and effective and efficient, training and education. So these are 8 elements of good governance which we need to focus upon. Leadership, very important. लीडर कौन होता है? एम्पावर पीपल, इंस्पायर पीपल, लीड द चेंज एंड शेयर द विजन. दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ए ट्रू लीडर. एंड लीडरशिप क्या है? विदाउट द अप्रोप्रिएट लीडरशिप द इंस्टीट्यूशन इज लाइक ए शिप विदाउट ए रडर एंड विल बिकम डायरेक्शनलेस एंड अल्टीमेटली सिंक विद ऑल इट्स पैसेंजर्स. तो ए लीडर एंड द रोल ऑफ ए लीडर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड ए लीडर इज वन हु नोज द वे, goes the way and shows the way, which is very, very important. And for true leadership, organizations management system develop करने पड़ेंगे, implementation and continuous improvement. We should not be complacent of our achievements. We should always aspire for continuous improvement, because I always say that quality is not a destination, it is a journey. Once you achieve certain level, then you increase that level and continuously move on. Interaction with stakeholders, very important. Reinforcing culture of excellence, identifying needs and championing organizational development. The leader has to do this. The functioning of the institutional bodies is effective and efficient. as visible from policies, administrative setup, appointment and service rules, procedure, etc. There has to be an organogram, organizational setup to run the institution in a good way. And for that, this is the whole thing which I wanted to share with you. NEP 2020, Ministry of Education Center, then Ministry of Education State. Then controlling bodies UGC, AICT, NCERT at present. But in NEP 2020, it will be National Higher Education Commission of India. It will be a single regulator for higher education, barring medical and legal colleges, I told you. Then there are some standard setting bodies, ICAR, Indian Council for Educational Research, Veterinary Council of India, NCTE, Council of Agriculture, NCVET, and NTA is the National Testing Agency, common test for all colleges and universities. And these ICAR, VCI, NCT are the professional standard setting bodies. And this NHECI, 4 verticals, NHERC, I discussed in previous slides also, GEC, HEGC, and NAC. And from here, if you go to state, then we have Directorate, Higher Education, we have Traditional Education and Technical Education and Skill Education, and Directorate School Education. And then comes the university, colleges and schools. When it comes to universities and colleges, then again what we have? State government, universities and colleges. Universities, we have Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Port, EC, AC, Registrar, COE, DA, DC, DC, Finance Officer, Faculty, Board of Studies, Dean, Chairmen, Directors, Teaching and Non-Teaching Staff, Students, Alumni, Staff. These are the various agencies. And at state level, you have IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. This can be in the university, this can be in the college. SQAC, State Quality Assurance Cell, National Skill Qualification Framework, and State Skill Qualification Framework. And colleges, you have governing body, principal, HODs, teaching and non-teaching staff, students, alumni, stakeholders. अब ये सारा सेटअप आपके पास है. अब आपने एक टारगेट इनके सामने रख दिया, because NEP 2020 is in front of your eyes and you very well know what are the expected outcomes. Now how to do it? Now there are two possibilities कि प्रिंसिपल या वाइस चांसलर या स्टेट अपना एक पॉलिसी बनाए और आप पर थोप दे. दूसरा ये है कि आप सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को बुला करके डिस्कस करें कि भाई ये हमारा डेस्टिनेशन है, इस तक पहुंचना, कैसे इसको बनाया जाए. तो फॉर दैट मैटर आई कंसीडर इट एज देयर आर टू अप्रोचेस. वन इज द टॉप डाउन अप्रोच and another is the bottom up approach. And a top down approach has a top tier of the government's hierarchy, formulating a policy or an intervention starting from what something is to how something should be done. All tiers in the hierarchy are bound to accept this model. In ये वो है जो थोपा जाता है. All tiers in the hierarchy are bound to accept. सरकार ने एक कानून बना दिया, आपके ऊपर थोप दिया जाता है. और मैं समझता हूं कि ऐसा नहीं है कि पिछली एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज जो थी उनमें कुछ नहीं था, बहुत कुछ था, इसमें भी बहुत कुछ है. तो मुझे लगता है कि इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पार्ट में कहीं कुछ गड़बड़ रहा होगा, कुछ लीनियंसी रही होगी ताकि जो डिजायर्ड रिजल्ट से वो नहीं मिले. एंड प्रोबेबली इट वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द पॉइंट दैट इट वाज ए टॉप डाउन अप्रोच. ऊपर से इंस्ट्रक्शंस आती थी और नीचे हमें उनको मानना ही पड़ता था, चाहे वो हमारे सिस्टम को सूट करें या ना करें. I personally believe at certain instances top down approach is good, at certain instances bottom up approach is good, and wherever you want a blend of two, then it can be done. And the bottom approach follows a rather non-centric method in formulating and implementing a policy. In this approach, the lower tiers of government like the stakeholders, alumni, employees and students contribute to decision making, which is used in designing and implementation of a policy. Very important. This is टॉप डाउन अप्रोच एंड बॉटम अप अप्रोच. बॉटम अप में क्या है? स्टेक होल्डर्स एंड एम्प्लॉय इनपुट देते हैं, कलेक्टिव एंड कॉलेजियल डिसीजंस, आउटकम्स, इम्पैक्ट एनालिसिस एंड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, सक्सेसफुल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. टॉप डाउन अप्रोच, डायरेक्शन इज सेट बाय द लीडरशिप एंड पास डाउन टू देयर टीम्स, creating transparent and objective lines of authority, standardizing contents and processes, facilitating quality control, streamlining tasks and achieving goals quickly. So now we have to decide whether we have to follow the top-down approach or we have to follow a bottom-up approach or we have to use a blend of the two depending upon the situation. Institution implements e-governance, very important. This is an age of information communication technology. If you want to decrease your stress, if you want to show your institution more objective, more transparent, then you have to have e-governance in your institution, whether it is the administration part, finance and accounts part, students admission and support part, or examination part. and it starts from, and it includes all admission support, then attendance is also there, results are also there, so it includes everything. And the institution has a performance appraisal system, very important. अभी एक लगा रहता है हमारे सबको कि कॉलेज में या यूनिवर्सिटी में जो काम करता है उसको भी उतनी इंक्रीमेंट मिलती है और जो नहीं करता उसको भी उतनी इंक्रीमेंट मिलती है, देयर इज नो डिफरेंस। तो लेकिन जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है उसमें टाइम बाउंड प्रमोशंस हैं और वर्कर्स के लिए कुछ इंसेंटिव्स हैं और शर्कर्स के लिए कुछ पनिशमेंट्स भी हैं, इसलिए आई थिंक इट विल ऑल्सो इंस्पायर पीपल टू वर्क मोर एंड मोर। Then financial support to attend conferences, membership fees for professional bodies. As an academic leaders, we should promote this culture in our institutions so that the goals of NEP 2020 are achieved. Funds mobilization strategies and the optimal utilization of resources from government bodies, from non-government bodies, individuals and philanthropists. Academic leaders का ये काम है, अपने alumni को use करें, अपने local MLA MPs को use करें, अपनी governing body के links को use करें, ताकि you can fetch more and more grants to your institution to develop infrastructure of excellence in your institution, and to be more fair, internal and external financial audits regularly होने चाहिए. Professional development, administrative training programs, seminar, conference, symposia, FDPs, workshop, collaborative quality initiatives with other institutions, orientation program on quality issues for teachers and students. Professional development centers, we can start these centers in our institutions. The thing is that we have to come out of our comfort zone. We have to develop a proposal, send it to the university, UGC or DST or MHRD, and they will give you grants for setting up all these centers. Human resource development centers, academic staff colleges, then teaching learning centers, and then skill development centers under Deen Dayal Upadhyay centers, Kaushal scheme of UGC. This we can do. And the most important, internal quality assurance system, because it results into the SWOT analysis of an institution. Internal quality assurance cell for institutionalizing the quality assurance strategies and processes by constantly reviewing the teaching learning processes, structure and methodologies for operations and learning outcomes at periodic intervals. Friends, events converts into practices. They are converted into processes, and once you institutionalize all these good practices or best practices in your institution, then quality is bound to occur, and it also results into SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities and challenges of an institution. And I personally believe that when mind is weak, situation is a problem. When mind is balanced, situation is a challenge. When mind is strong, situation becomes opportunity. So it depends upon our state of mind. The same which is a weakness or which is a challenge, that can become opportunity. और जब हम opportunity को avail कर लेते हैं और successful हो जाते हैं हम, तो that becomes our strength और लोग आपकी बड़ाई करना शुरू कर देते हैं. So you can continuously improve who we are and what we are capable of achieving. Each challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. Quality assurance through, maybe 1 or 2 slides more, madam. You have to have clear-cut defined policies regarding governance, quality and environment, energy, research, ICC, mentor-mentee, degradable, non-degradable waste and so many other parameters. You have to have well-defined codes, plans, perspective plans and strategic plans. Then audits you have to conduct. Regular audits, whether it is financial audit, academic administrative audit, energy audit, green audit, gender audit or ISO certification. Assessment and accreditation or ranking. Participation in All India Survey Higher Education, participation in NIRF, any other assessment and accreditation by state, national or international agencies like NEC, NB, etc. यदि आप ये सारी चीजें करते हैं, if you do all these things, policies, codes, plans, audits, and this, and finally impact analysis and assessment of the initiatives and incremental improvements made with regard to quality. NEP 2020 is not a case of 1 year or 2 years. There are lot many challenges also, and some of the challenges I have listed here. आत्मनिर्भर भारत, पूरे देश में ये बात हो रही है, सेल्फ रिलायंट इंडिया की. नेशनल हायर एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बिल, एजुकेशन एंड इंडस्ट्री, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऑगमेंटेशन, ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशो जो हम बात कर रहे हैं कि भाई ये 50 तक लेके जाना है. देन एनआरएफ, will be created as an apex body for fostering a strong research culture. MERUs, multidisciplinary education and research universities. These are the challenges. And develop new curriculum, vocational training with internship, global reach, 100 action points with timeline, legislative process of change, budget 2 crore students in schools. है इसका जो पर्पज है 2 करोड़ स्टूडेंट्स को ब्रिंग बैक टू द स्कूल्स. अब बच्चे तो आ जाएंगे, टीचर कहाँ से लाएंगे? तो उसके लिए अपॉइंटमेंट्स करनी है आपको, ओपनिंग यूनिवर्सिटी, बहुत सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज ओपन करनी है, रीजनल गैप विच आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट, वेदर इकोनॉमिकल और जियोग्राफिकल और लोकेशनल, उसको कैसे करेंगे, एंड पॉवर्टी इन द कंट्री, इट इज़ ए वेल नोन फैक्ट. तो दीज आर सम ऑफ द चैलेंजेस. लेकिन फिर भी मैं ये कहता हूँ कि ख्यालातों के बदलने से भी निकलता है नया दिन, सिर्फ सूरज के चमकने से ही सवेरा नहीं होता. तो वी हैव टू चेंज आवर थॉट प्रोसेस, and the day is not far that if we are able to implement the NEP 2020 recommendations in letter and spirit, then no one can stop us in developing globally relevant students. और भारत को विश्व गुरु बनने से कोई रोक नहीं सकता. लेकिन कुछ लोग ये भी कहते हैं ये कैसे होगा. तो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की 2 पंक्तियां हैं, छोटे मन वाला कभी बड़ा नहीं होता और टूटे तन वाला कभी खड़ा नहीं होता. तो हमें ऐसा नहीं करना है, हमें अपने मॉरल हाई रखने हैं और वी हैव टू चूज द राइट पाथ टू अचीव आवर गोल्स. थैंक यू वेरी मच. थैंक यू मैडम, मैंने 5-7 मिनट ज़्यादा ले लिया, आई एम सॉरी, जो भी टाइम आपने मुझे अलॉट किया था. थैंक यू फॉर पेशेंटली लिसनिंग टू मी. थैंक यू.
Thank you very much, sir. Your concern about the gap between the education goals and the potential of the learner highlighted the need for new education policy, which is emerging in the form of NEP 2020. And we must bridge this gap between theoretical learning and the industry needs, where the learner is going to practice the skills he has learned in the institution to have a sustainable development. Thank you very much, sir. And now I request our principal, Dr. Neena Seth Pajni, to formally introduce our next resource person, Dr. R.S. Jhanji. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Krishan sir. There are, I think, some question in the chat box. Would you like to stay with us during Dr. Jhanji's lecture so that we can take at the end, so that you both can satisfy our participants?
हाँ मैडम, मैं आई विल बी देयर.
सर ठीक है, हम एंड में सेशन ओपन करेंगे उस केस में. एंड यू राइटली सेड दैट द प्रेजेंट एजुकेशन सिस्टम, द ऑल इज नॉट वेल, and it is not a student centric or holistically framed. That's why we need all these reforms, and you beautifully depicted and elaborated by very beautiful and slides, and I like the concept of guru taxonomy there. So next, under these reforms, let's see what is the situation of higher education institute in Punjab. For that, I would like to call our next resource person, Dr. R.S. Jhanji. He is a principal at ACE College, Khanna, Ludhiana, Punjab, since March 2005, with a vast experience of more than 30 years. And his college is accredited with CGPA 3.51 by NAC. He is MA English, MPhil PhD in English from Javi University, and has served as a member of syndicate from in 2012, 13 and 2020, member of Senate 2008 to 2020, Academic Council since 2005, College Development Council 2017 to 19, Standing Committee of CDC, Board of Finance, Skill Development Board, Revising Committee, Joint Consultative Machinery, Youth Welfare Committee, UG Board of Studies in English, and Board of Studies in Health, Family and Population Education. And he has supervised 2 MPhil students and has 15 books to his credit and 20 papers in journals and conference proceedings. With 4 book chapters, and has presented in 8 conferences and seminars. Invited lecture are 14, and has attended 3 orientation and refresher courses. So he has organized 10 conferences funded by UGC, ICSSR, and various other sponsoring bodies, and has widely traveled to USA and Canada. He has been honored by His Excellency Governor of Punjab at Punjab Raj Bhavan for commendable Youth Red Cross activity in 2006-7. Award of honor by AISRA New Delhi for contribution in the field of education in 2007. Honored by Chairman Punjab State Commission for Scheduled Caste, Chandigarh, for contributing in Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in Khanna in 2014, honored by Vice Chancellor Punjab University for sustained efforts in raising the standards of education and developing infrastructure at college for achieving high A by NAC. Nominated as editor in editorial board for Punjab University annual magazine Jawad Tarang in 2015-16, and honored by as Professor Mohan Singh Memorial Award in 2018 by Professor Mohan Singh Memorial Foundation. So the list is endless and there is long list. So now I would like to invite Dr. Jhanji. Thanks for waiting patiently. I would like to speak on governance reforms in national education policy with special reference to what is the situation at Punjab. Over to you, Dr. Jhanji, please.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Am I audible, ma'am? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, very much audible. Kindly continue.
Okay. Thank you very much. At the very outset, I'm thankful to Dr. Neena Seth Pajni, the principal of the college, for inviting me and interacting with all the dignitaries. And I must say, I must congratulate Dr. Kant for giving us valuable inputs regarding national education policy. And he hasn't left anything for me to speak, but I would like that whatever he has spoken, that is not repeated. And because particularly I will be dealing with higher education institutions in Punjab, and what are their apprehensions and what are their curiosities, what are their doubts about the national education policy. Shall I continue, ma'am?
Yes, sir, kindly. Please.
Okay. I think the national education policy has been deliberated on various platforms by the universities at the national level, at the state levels. And I think that based on time, region, and types of institutions, national education policy definitely promises a transformational and paradigm shift in higher education system in India, which is currently facing a big challenge. Higher education institutions, particularly in Punjab, they have many apprehensions over the national education policy. These institutions, as you know, that everybody knows, at the national level also and at the state level also, we are facing unprecedented crisis and other, because pandemic COVID-19, which is full of challenges and uncertainties and speculations. Introduction of national education policy may prove for some as a shock therapy. For some of the private colleges in Punjab, as you know, that which are under tremendous, you can say, financial crunch, and because of they are facing non-payments of annual charges and fee due to the pandemic. And in these circumstances, under this prevailing situation, national education policy is coming as a shock therapy for some of the institutions. Now, gross enrollment ratio have been on decline in colleges for the last few years in Punjab, and under this COVID-19 situation has further aggravated this problem. So most of the colleges in Punjab, they are situated in rural areas and they lack in resources, infrastructure and skills to implement recommendations of national education policy in the present circumstances. They have apprehensions that they may die their own death. And if such apprehensions prove true, then students of rural areas, I think, may not be able to enroll in other colleges because most of the colleges have limited facilities and resources, and gross enrollment ratio may decline further in the coming years in Punjab. Now, national education policy proposes conversion of colleges, as Dr. Kant has also mentioned during his discourse, that from affiliation to autonomy. And in 15 years, this affiliation system is definitely going to go. And autonomy, and which is a very complex process and lacks clarity by the national education policy, how the institutions, this mushrooming of institutions, which have been during the last so many years, what will be the fate of these institutions in the coming years? Now, then private autonomous colleges may encourage even corporate sector. As you know, they have the finances, they have infrastructure, they have other facilities, and this corporate sector, this corporatization and education may become expensive and unaffordable for the needy and the deserving, you see, the deprived section of the society, which is again apprehension for the colleges in Punjab. Now, as Dr. Kant has also highlighted, on the surface, also the national education policy recommends holistic undergraduate education with a flexible curriculum with multiple exit options and certifications. It may increase the dropout rates at universities and colleges. This is again one of the major apprehension in the minds of the education circle in Punjab. There is no clarity about certification, graduation, and employability opportunities. All these certifications and employability, they have to be handled for multiple exits. There are apprehensions again for about employability of passed out students with multiple exits. When full degree holders, masters, and graduates are facing unemployment, then it is a big question, how can we expect employment for holders of certificate courses and diplomas? Now, there is a strong apprehension that national education policy focuses on formulating a strong centralized regulatory regime for higher education institutions. Now, it may encourage, again, there are apprehensions that there is no clarity on the formation of central bodies like Higher Education Council of India, which Dr. Kant has also highlighted, National Higher Education Regulatory Council, National Accreditation Council. The proposal and draft for Higher Education Commission of India is languishing with very little development so far. Now, the proposal for Board of Governors reforms for universities, this is a debatable issue and may also require amendments of the central and the state level universities. The role and interference of political and other representatives on the Board of Governors universities will also be a matter to ponder upon. Now, for the implementation of national education policy, great need of cooperation, as Dr. Kant has also highlighted, between the center and the state governments is required, but the present political scenario does not guarantee this cooperation. The states and the center, there has to be perfect cooperation and coordination. So both central and the state governments can make their own laws on education, and the proposed national education policy recommendations are not mandatory for state governments to follow them. So this is the point where the states and center have to sit and sort out this issue. Now, reaching the target of 6% of the GDP seems too ambitious. It has not been achieved for the last half century. Now, even the low level of funding on education in India, smaller than most developed and developing countries, is frequently, we have seen that finances are not spent in a timely manner. Then hence the need is to increase efficiency in use of available budget for suitable policy changes. Further, let me say that it may be a difficult task to promote an adoption of continuously evolving technologies for digital learning nationwide and state-wise due to wide digital divide. Now, not enough provisions in national education policy to remove digital divide. So to meet the targets of 50% higher education gross enrollment ratio, India will need 3.3 million more teachers in higher education by 2035, based on a teacher-student ratio of 1:15, which is a 235% increase from the current availability of 1.42 million. Now, this is a huge challenge, a big gap, which requires enormous resources. Now, a state like Punjab, there has been you say gross enrollment ratio is around 28%. So, target of achieving 50% in the coming years. Now, this is a big challenge. Now, there will be need of huge, you say, financial resources to develop holistic and multidisciplinary higher education institutions and clusters. Now, from where the funding is to come. Now, this we are talking about the traditional resources from the state governments, from central governments, by making proposals that is the traditional way, from our alumni and from other sources, and from our philanthropists, from politicians. So this has been already been going on, but still it seems a difficult task. Now, National Education Policy 2020 has provisions more about pre-service teacher training, but it has emphasized very little on an in-service teacher training. Although there have been instances, they have mentioned that teachers will be trained, but how will be trained? What will the sort of training? And you say what are the bodies they will be training? That has to be seen in the coming years. Now, again, there is an urgent need for capacity building, because our teachers, they are more tuned to the lecture system, and switching over to technologies. The colleges and universities, you know, they have to come up with ultra modern you say infrastructure, which is again you seems a difficult task. So Dr. Kant has also talked developing emotional intelligence in teachers and making them psychologically well versed to understand the basic psychological needs and problems of children and adolescents, whether at elementary level or at higher level, is the need of the hour. So our teachers have to be trained for that. So teachers need to be trained in online teaching methodologies also, and assessments also, examinations and evaluations, which is again, you know, those who have been dealing with for such a long time, and those who are, it's very difficult to train them at this stage. So this is again going to be a big challenge. So National Education Policy talks about needs for teachers, but how teachers will be trained, again, very little has been touched upon. So university extension services given little importance in National Education Policy. What are the resources sharing? So that has been again given very little importance there. So doing away with MPhil and making MA optional and reducing its duration would seriously affect the quality of research. These are the again apprehensions. So because it is only through these, you say the courses and the boards that students till date have been preparing themselves for the research activity. So you see the National Education Policy is clear on the destination, as Dr. Kant has said, but silent about the journey. So there is no clarity on how it is to be implemented. So destination we have been given, but you know that the path we don't know, the passage we don't know, the journey we don't know, the roads, you know, they're so vast, then which to take, which not to take, it's a big question. So the National Education Policy has no clarity on funding resources. So National Education Policy should be implemented as an experiment, which I feel and others also feel in Punjab, that it should be experimented, you say, in the big cities which are well connected, they don't have much digital divide, and IITs, IIMs, etc. for initial years. So no doubt, education policy, national education policy gives a framework up to 2040. So it has a big, you would say, the big road to go. So let us see how it goes on. So policies are always generally good. The fears only are at the time of implementation level. So national education policy, I think, is no exception to this. So moreover, I would say that in such a, you say, as the foreign investors, when they will come here, it will definitely increase the big healthy competition among the traditional institutions, local institutions, and but it definitely creates a sort of a curiosity and a doubt between the local minds which institution to prefer. So definitely the time has come for a big change, and we are reeling under so much of confusion and curiosity. So I don't want to go to the technicalities of the national education policy further. So Dr. Kant has well explained the issues, but these are some of the apprehensions which are reeling into the minds of the people and academicians at the Punjab level, at the state level. So, but even then, I would say that we have to switch over to the new education policy, because change is always welcome, but change in a phased manner. If you say, the people have to be mentally prepared, psychologically prepared, the stakeholders have to be made aware of that, that has to be, lot has to be done, and deliberations are going on, but still a lot has to be done. And the last, I would only say कि मैं सिर्फ इतना ही कहूँगा कि पॉलिसी अच्छी है और इसमें चेंजेस भी चाहिए. इतने सालों से 70 साल से हम बैठे हैं, पॉलिसी में चेंज आनी चाहिए, ये वेलकम चेंज है. बट ये कुछ इश्यूज हैं जो अभी भी लोगों के मनों में हैं, जिसका रिड्रेसल अभी भी लोग चाहते हैं. को बहुत सारी चीजें जो हैं, ये सारी चीजें जब तक सेटल नहीं होंगी, बहुत सारी एप्रीहेंशन ऐसी रहेंगी. तो मैं अंत में सिर्फ यही कहूंगा कि पॉलिसी में सरफेस लेवल पे ठीक लग रहा है, इंप्लीमेंटेशन हैव टू बी सीन. मैं तो यही कहूंगा कि मैं कोई शिकवा या गिला किसी एजुकेशन की तरफ से नहीं करना चाहता. हम सिर्फ अपना फियर्स आपके ये आगे रख रहे हैं लोगों के लिए, डिस्कशंस के लिए. तो यही कहते हैं कि मंजिल पे जिन्हें जाना है, मंजिल पे जिन्हें जाना है वो शिकवे नहीं करते, और शिकवे में जो उलझे हैं वो कभी पहुंचा नहीं करते. तो मैं ये भी बात कहना चाहूंगा साथ में ऑन ऑप्टिमिस्टिक नोट कि ये चीजें सारी जो हैं कि आने वाले समय में शायद हैंडल हो जाएंगी, और हम कोशिश भी कर रहे हैं. तो ये चीजें हमें किसी न किसी रूप में हैंडल करनी पड़ेंगी. तो मैं डॉक्टर कांत आपके लिए फिर आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि आपने बहुत अच्छा इनपुट्स दिए हैं. ये हमारे लिए भी एक लर्निंग है, और ऐसे बहुत से सेमिनार्स और भी होने चाहिए, लोगों की दुविधा दूर होनी चाहिए. और ऐसे बहुत से, मैं होस्ट कॉलेज को भी कहूंगा कि मैडम नीना पजनी को, कि ऐसे बहुत से सेमिनार्स वो करती रहती हैं. ऐसे बहुत से हमारे इलाके रूरल एरिया के लिए जो हैं, तो बहुत सी चीजें ऐसी हैं. क्योंकि मेरा अपना कॉलेज जो है, मैडम का गोविंदगढ़ कॉलेज भी जो है, रूरल पर्टिकुलरली, वी आर नॉट सिटी कॉलेजेस. हमारे पास 160 कॉलेज से बच्चे आते हैं मेरे पास, तो उनकी प्रॉब्लम्स को भी हमने देखना होता है. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने बहुत अच्छा जो कॉलेजेस हैं जो स्विच करेंगे, लेकिन हमें लोगों को चिंता है जो छोटे छोटे कॉलेजेस हैं, जो क्लस्टर की जो सोच रहे हैं, देख रहे हैं, जिनके पास अभी फंडिंग नहीं है, जिनके पास ऑनलाइन सिस्टम्स नहीं है. इन लोगों के बारे में भी सरकारों को सोचना चाहिए. वो आने वाले समय में इनका क्या होगा, दिस हैज टू बी सीन. सो मैं एक बार से फिर से आई एम थैंकफुल टू डॉक्टर नीना पजनी फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग एन अपॉर्चुनिटी and listening to me very patiently. So thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are highly indebted to you, sir, for bringing forth the grave areas of concern in higher education and the disappointing current state of affairs at affiliated colleges and the need for the teachers, if I say in your words, trained teachers. Right. I just hope that national education policy will come up with positive outcomes, and gradually the level of education will rise from the leaves of the books to the real life achievements. And this session has given us many moments to introspect into inside out and the journey. And we all know that the journey is still very long and the roots are still in constant flux. The inspiring words of Dr. Kant and Jhanji has brought me a few words in my mind for our students as well. And these goes like this: तेरे हर कदम पर नई उड़ान हो, यही बस हर गुरु का अरमान हो. रास्ते में पत्थर भी आएंगे, उस राह पर चलते करते कंकर को फूलों बनाने की भी चाह. Before signing off, I would like to express my gratitude to stalwart supporters of education, Dr. Krishan Kant, Dr. R.S. Jhanji, for cornering the time from your busy schedule. Your perspective have rendered us with understanding of governing reforms of national education policy in a better way. I'm quite optimistic that overall scenario of the education sector and the quality of education will enrich the upcoming generation with knowledge and useful skill. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sorry to interrupt, Jitendra ma'am. Allow me to speak.
Yes.
Like there are some
Sorry.
queries. The session is open.
Yes.
Like chat box, there are some queries, and some of them
Yes.
send me personally because there is some technical problem. Some of the people cannot write in chat box. So I can see, is it visible to you or should I read out? Ma'am Jitendra?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there is a query from Professor Rajesh Kumar that his question is with respect that it is a good option for students to enter and leave when they think fits in the completion of degree. But what is the impact on the survival of the college and teaching community if there is no surety about enrollment till the completion of the course?
Dr. Krishan Kant, sir, would you like to answer? Sir, kindly unmute. Kindly unmute.
Yeah. So am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The question is very relevant as such. It is a provision in NEP 2020 because at present, if you see that if circumstances compel a student to leave in between, maybe after 1 year or 2 years, he gets nothing. His 2 years hard work goes waste. And if he comes back, then he has to start with the first year. Now, if he is there for first year, his hard work will not go waste because he will get a certificate. And because vocational component is mandatory over there, so even if he goes after 1 year, he will be in a position to get a job in the industry somewhere. And the same pattern is also there in the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Kaushal Kendra, a scheme of UGC, where the certificate, diploma and advanced diploma courses are there under community college and all that. And there is also a provision of exit option. So as far as the existence and impact on the institution is concerned, definitely what I personally believe that not many students will be going for this practice, but if at all they go, then definitely it is going to impact the institution adversely. Government has to think on this issue also, that if a particular number of students they are going away after 1 year or 2 year, how the financial aspects and other aspects and the workload norms they will be met out in that situation. This is yet to be resolved. This issue is yet to be resolved. But definitely it will have an impact.
Yes, sir. Dr. Jhanji, would you like to add something? आप कुछ और इसमें बोलना
हाँ,
चाहेंगे?
मैंने इसमें ऑलरेडी बात की है एग्जिट पे, जो एग्जिट क्लासेस में मैंने रेफरेंस दिया था इसमें, कि जो एग्जिट क्लासेस डेफिनेटली अगर ऐसे बच्चे, क्योंकि हमारे बच्चे जो हैं ये अभी ठीक है, वी आर स्विचिंग टू स्किल डेवलपमेंट, अभी हमारे पास सोशल साइंसेज दूसरे बच्चे बीच में छोड़ करके कोई जॉब करने, क्योंकि ये इट्स देयर, लेकिन इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए बिल्कुल इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। और ये भी है कि क्या ये भी सोचना पड़ेगा कि बच्चा जब बार बार एग्जिट करके आ रहा है, उसकी जॉब एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी पे कितना फर्क पड़ेगा जब इंस्टीट्यूशन लेंगे, जब वो हायर करेंगे, मतलब वो ये चाहेंगे कंटिन्यूटी में, कि जैसे अब लोग बच्चे बाहर भी जा रहे हैं, अब जैसे गैप बीच में पड़ रहा है, तो गैप्स को हैंडल करने के लिए क्या ऐसी को पॉलिसी गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से होगी कि इनको, जैसे सर्विस सेक्टर काउंसिल हैं, अब सर्विस सेक्टर काउंसिल में जो एम्प्लॉयर होगा वो इस चीज को डेफिनेटली, एक बच्चा क्लियर आ रहा है जो विदाउट एनी डिसकंटिन्यूटी आ रहा है, गैप्स के बिना आ रहा है, तो नेचुरली जब क्वालिटी में देखेगा तो उस बच्चे को, तो बच्चा तो फिर भी वैसे वो लूजर रहेगा उसमें। अगर ये ठीक है फाइनेंशियल में आ जाएगा, लेकिन अगर बच्चा किसी कोर्स के लिए छोड़ रहा है, उसकी बीच में गैप प्लग कर रहा है वो, तो उसके लिए तो शायद कोई प्रोविजन सरकार सोच सकती है, एम्प्लॉयर को सोच सकता है, लेकिन जब बार बार डिसकंटिन्यूटी होगी तो वो तो एक तरह से नेगेटिविटी होगी, तो एक तरह से स्टूडेंट को भी लॉस होगा और एम्प्लॉयर भी चाहेगा कि उसके पास नीट एंड क्लीन बच्चा आए, जो क्लियर अपना विदाउट एनी गैप आ रहा, तो ये चीजें इफेक्ट करेंगी। इस पे भी देखने वाली बात है ये, और चाहे सर्विस सेक्टर काउंसिल इसको रिलेट करें, एम्प्लॉयर इसको रिलेट करे, कोई ऐसा राइडर डले उसमें तो उन बच्चों को कोई सेट ना हो और एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए अगर बार बार स्ट्रेंथ जाती रहेगी तो उनके लिए नेचुरली आज बच्चे एक सर्टन नंबर है हमारे पास, कल को इंस्टीट्यूशन से वो बच्चा छोड़ के जाता है, नमाज जाता है, तो हमारा वो जो टीचर हायर किया हुआ है, जो बच्चे हमारे पास जो फाइनेंशियल आ रहे हैं, उससे डेफिनेटली इफेक्ट पड़ेगा। यस डेफिनेटली।
एक क्वेश्चन मुझे डायरेक्ट आया हुआ है, उसमें है कि पूछना चाह रही हैं एक पार्टिसिपेंट की ग्रेडेड ऑटोनॉमी क्या है, मतलब कि सारे कॉलेज ऑटोनमस हो जाएंगे? सर कांत सर।
एनईपी 2020 का तो मैडम यही है, एफिलिएशन का जो स्कीम है दैट विल बी फेज्ड आउट इन 15 years. There will be no affiliated college. There will be standalone institutions and degree granting institutions. So when an institution is degree granting, so it is an autonomous institution.
लाइक ऑटोनमस के लिए जो अब रूल्स हैं एक्रीडिटेशन में, सब उस पे खरे उतरेंगे तभी वो ऑटोनमस में आएंगे।
बिल्कुल,
या कि
इसीलिए मैं बीच में कह रहा था कि नाउ इंस्टीट्यूशंस शुड एस्पायर फॉर क्वालिटी सस्टेनेंस एंड एनहांसमेंट सो दैट दे कैन गेट गुड ग्रेड्स। एंड
सर जो अगर टोटल आपने, आप नैक के कोर टीम में अगर टोटल आपने देखा होगा कि A+ या A ग्रेडेड कितने इंस्टीट्यूट हैं जो अकॉर्डिंग टू नैक ऑटोनमस हो सकते हैं, तो आपने देखा होगा कि उनकी परसेंटेज बहुत कम है। इट मींस बाकी सारे क्या बंद होने जा रहे हैं? व्हाट इज देयर फ्यूचर?
मुझे तो लगता है फ्यूचर बहुत ब्राइट नहीं है मैडम। जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस नॉन परफॉर्मिंग होंगे दे विल बिकम एनपीए एज इन बैंक्स।
तो मतलब ये होता है कि जो ए नहीं है वो सारे नॉन परफॉर्मिंग में आते हैं?
नहीं अभी नहीं बिल्कुल नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। बिकॉज जैसा प्रिंसिपल साहब भी कह रहे थे कि इंडिया इज ए लैंड ऑफ डाइवर्सिटीज। एवरी इंस्टीट्यूशन कैन नॉट बी ए ग्रेड और A+ और A++।
Yes.
But
Yes, because on one side we talk about unity rather than uniformity, means diversity is there. So अगर diversity की बात करते हैं तो but natural है कि सारे institute A या autonomous नहीं हो सकते। It means there should be there are so many challenges. I think Dr. Jhanji want to speak.
वो कहते हैं ना they have given us 2040. So भाई ये इन सालों में अपना या तो ग्रेड अपग्रेड कर लो या वाइंड अप कर लो।
बिल्कुल ठीक बात।
उसमें ये है कि जो जब स्ट्रेंथ है, जब 3000 की स्ट्रेंथ उन्होंने मेंशन की है कि उससे जो नीचे वाली स्ट्रेंथ है वो कॉलेज सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाएंगे एज पर नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी। और आने वाले अगर ग्रेडेड फेज्ड मैनर में है तो आपको टाइम दे दिया 2040 तक का, तो उन्होंने तो क्लियर कर दिया कि 2040 तक अमेंड कर लो, और नहीं अमेंड करोगे तो अपना सोचो कैसे पॉलिसी बना करके आपने कैसे क्लस्टर बनाना है, कैसे एफिलिएशन करें, कैसे ऑटोनॉमी लेनी है। दिस विल बी अ बिग इशू। मैंने यही बात आपने उसकी एप्रीहेंशन दी है कि हमारे पंजाब के कॉलेज तो ये भी सोचने लगे शायद ये चीजें सारी चीजें पहले पंजाब से शुरू होंगी, मुझे ये लगता है। तो हम भी ये चीज सोच रहे हैं कि भी अगर ये सारी चीजें जो हैं ये कहां से, मतलब कैसे ये जो कॉलेज चल रहे हैं जो चैरिटी पे चल रहे हैं कैसे चले, कैसे इंप्रूव करेंगे। इनकी जहां 100 स्ट्रेंथ है, 150 है, 200 है, इनका फिर क्या होगा? क्या ये सारी मैनेजमेंट्स मिल करके क्लस्टर बनाएंगी या क्या होगा इनका?
मतलब कि ये सिर्फ
चीजें
पंजाब की नहीं सर, ऑल ओवर, ये तो ऑल ओवर इंडिया की बात हो जाती है। एक तरफ तो हम जैसे बहुत पहले से बात होती थी कि सिलेबस या करिकुलम में यूनिफॉर्मिटी होनी चाहिए, काफी टाइम तक ये बातें होती रही यूजीसी में दैट देयर शुड बी यूनिफॉर्म सिस्टम। बिकॉज जैसे ये नेट के एग्जामिनेशन होते हैं तो उसमें क्या था यूजीसी नेट में कि यूनिफॉर्मिटी होगी तभी वो बच्चे अपीयर हो पाएंगे, परसेंटेज बन पाएगी, क्वालिटी टीचर्स आ पाएंगे। उसके बाद जब हम यूनिफॉर्मिटी को छोड़ के यूनिटी पे इसलिए आए क्योंकि हमारी जो 165 के अराउंड लैंग्वेजेस हैं वो एंडेंजर में आ रही है, और कहीं ना कहीं हम समझ रहे थे कि लैंग्वेज ही हमारा कल्चर और हमें सारी सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में सिखा सकती है, हमने वो भी प्रिजर्व करना है। तो अगर हम यूनिटी की बात करते हैं तो डाइवर्सिटी आती ही आती है, डाइवर्सिटी से ही यूनिटी आती है। तो डाइवर्सिटी मीन्स सारे एक लेवल पे कॉलेज या एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट खड़े नहीं रह सकते। अगली बात जब हम करते हैं कि ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशो हमने बढ़ानी है, तो उसमें क्या आता है कि हमें इतने इतने एक लार्ज नंबर है जो हमें एजुकेशनल हायर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट बढ़ाने पड़ेंगे, तो वो बढ़ाने की तरफ हम सोच रहे हैं नई तरीके से। जो पुराने चल रहे हैं उनको सस्टेन करने के लिए नहीं सोच रहे हैं। मतलब कि वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द 6% ऑफ जीडीपी, मतलब पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट इन एजुकेशन सेक्टर टू रीच 6% of GDP at the earliest. What makes things tricky is that this policy comes into being at a time when the economy has battered by COVID-19 lockdowns. Government tax collection are abysmally low due to various protests, and the fiscal deficit was high even pre-COVID. And you better know than me whether some of the state university and colleges are going to shut down due to financial crunch. So isn't it better कि हम जो पहले से चल रहा है उसको सस्टेन करें, उसको आगे बढ़ाएं। ग्रोस एनरोलमेंट वहां भी बढ़ सकती है, वहां भी हम कैपेसिटी बढ़ा सकते हैं, बजाय इसके कि नए इंस्टीट्यूट जो कि प्रोविजन में है उनको खोलें ग्रोस एनरोलमेंट बढ़ाने के लिए। सर कांत सर, आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं इस बारे में?
Madam, these are certain decisions which are to be taken at the central or state level, because education is in concurrent list. Central government has given you certain policies. Now the state government will make out policies. As I tell you that 2 days before there was a news item in from Haryana government side that at every 20 kilometer there will be a college. At every 20 kilometer. And the real situation is this, that there are colleges, no staff. A principal is looking after 5 colleges, and a teacher is teaching 2 days in one college, 2 days in another college, and yet 2 days in another college. This is a state of affairs. So that we can discuss only on such platforms, but ultimately the call has to come from government side. Yes. Because we are not policy makers. हमसे तो कह दिया जाएगा कि ये इसके आउटकम्स हैं, इसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर दीजिए। जैसे सरकार से लेटर आएंगे टॉप डाउन अप्रोच में, वो हमें इम्प्लीमेंट करना पड़ेगा। सरकार कहेगी 300 बच्चे वाले कॉलेज बंद कर दो बिकॉज दे आर नॉन परफॉर्मिंग, हमारे पास कोई वे आउट नहीं होगा इफ वी आर ग्रांटेड इंस्टीट्यूशन और गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस। और अदरवाइज द सेकंड ऑप्शन इज दैट, जो प्रिंसिपल साहब कह रहे थे कि वी कैन हैव ए क्लस्टर ऑफ कॉलेजेस, उसमें भी हम मैनेजमेंट क्या डिसीजन लेती है, सरकार क्या डिसीजन लेती है। एक पर्टिकुलर रीजन में 20 कॉलेज हैं, 300 बच्चे हैं, तो देयर कैन बी 2 कॉलेजेस इंस्टेड ऑफ 20। तो चीजें किस तरह से अनफोल्ड होंगी, this policy is only indicative. It has lot many complications and repercussions also. And with the passage of time, when the things will unfold as per the situation in a particular state or particular region, then maybe there may be some change also, or maybe some new recommendations may come in time to come.
Like most of the things are from top to down, and the state has to play its role.
Yeah, definitely.
I think. Yes. Dr. Jhanji, you want to say something?
मुझे लगता है कि आप ना 2040 तक देखो, ये बंद करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, अपने आप मैनेजमेंट भाग जाएंगी अपने आप भाग, क्योंकि हमारे पास तो फाइनेंशियली है ही नहीं। कुछ जो छोटे छोटे कॉलेजेस है ये अपने आप बंद हो जाएंगे, सरकार को बंद नहीं करने पड़ेंगे।
वो मैनेजमेंट नहीं है उनकी, मैनेजमेंट तो प्रिंसिपल साहब वैसे ही भाग जाएंगी, कैपिंग कर दिया फीस पे,
वो तो भाग जाएंगी सारी।
और डिफरेंस है नहीं,
इसलिए देखने में सब गुडी गुडी है। जब नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी और आने दो, ये तो तब तक इंप्लीमेंटेशन आएगी, तब तो कॉलेज वैसे ही बंद हो जाने हैं कहीं। तो
कॉमर्शलाइजेशन को कम करने की बात है। बिल्कुल। हाँ। Let us see how the things unfold.
Let us see, but be optimistic. But let's hope, be optimistic.
Let's hope for the best and see the positive side of this policy.
Yeah, positive side is very positive.
It will be for the benefit of society, and it will be student centric and for we all. Thanks to Dr. Krishan Kant and Dr. Jhanji for sparing time out of busy schedule. It's already 20 past 12 now, so we are going to sign off now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.